My name is Rebecca Williams. I am 54 years old, a nurse, and a mother. One evening my adopted son, Michael, who is 27, called me. His voice was careful, rehearsed. "Mom, Hannah and I had a hard talk. We are having a small wedding, just the closest people. Hannah's parents are very conservative. They would not understand. We do not want any awkwardness that day." The words "would not understand" cut deeper than a shout. I knew what they meant. In their family, they were ashamed that I am a black mother. After Michael hung up, the room around me went silent. The refrigerator hummed in the kitchen, the clock ticked on the wall, but inside me it felt as if a door had been slammed shut. I sat at the table with my phone still in my hand, remembering another phone call long ago in 2001. That was the day the adoption agency told me the papers were ready. I was 29, working nights and weekends at the county hospital, living in a small apartment with peeling paint and a second-hand crib waiting in the corner. When they placed that 4-month-old baby in my arms, I believed I had stepped into the light. His eyes were wide, his tiny hand clutched my finger, and I whispered, "You are mine." For 23 years I kept that promise. I worked double shifts until my back stiffened and my knees swelled. I gave up vacations, postponed replacing the car, clipped every coupon. Piece by piece I built a life for him. College tuition $82,430 in total across 4 years. His first used car $6,500 cash from my savings. The $15,000 down payment on the starter home he and Hannah moved into last spring. Every dollar felt like an offering to love. Along the way there were the sideways glances. Strangers asking if I was his nanny. Teachers hesitating at parent conferences, then blinking when I explained, "I am his mother." I thought love was proof enough, stronger than skin, stronger than any question. But now, after all that labor, after all those small humiliations I swallowed, my own son had placed me outside the circle. He had told me I was not family enough to stand beside him at the altar. The words, so no one would feel uncomfortable, rang inside me like an echo in a hollow house. Who was I then? The woman who stayed awake through the fevers, who learned every note of his trumpet practice, who pressed $20 bills into his hand before school trips. And still, to protect the comfort of others, I was erased. That night, I walked through the house alone. The living room was neat, the couch empty. His high school trophies still stood in a cabinet, a glass soccer ball, a brass plaque from the science fair. I dusted them every week, though no one cared anymore. When I opened the closet in the hallway, I found the shoebox where I had stored little relics. His first shoes, the program from his kindergarten play, the bill from his wisdom teeth surgery, $1,267 that I had covered in full because he was uninsured. Each slip of paper was a record of love. I sat on the floor with the box in my lap, and for the first time in many years, I felt something close to loneliness break open in me. The kind that does not come from living alone, but from being erased by someone you raised. My tears came slowly, not loud, but steady enough to wet the bills and receipts I was holding. I thought of the boy in the lion costume on his first Halloween, how he clutched my leg and would not let go. I thought of the man on the phone tonight, choosing silence and convenience over truth. I whispered into the quiet. All these years and still I am the one who must be hidden. 3 weeks passed in silence. Michael sent short messages about work, about the mortgage, nothing about the wedding. My heart wanted to believe he might change his mind, but every quiet day proved otherwise. Then one Tuesday afternoon the phone rang. Hannah's number flashed on the screen. For a moment I thought perhaps an apology. I answered. Her voice poured through the receiver like honey. "Rebecca, could you share your peach pie? Everyone adores it. It would be perfect for the reception." I sat very still. She did not say, "We want you there." She did not say, "I am sorry for excluding you." She only wanted the recipe my mother passed to me, the pie I had baked for every family holiday since Michael was old enough to sit at the table. Not a word about an invitation, I thought. They wanted my pie but not me. I kept my tone even. "The recipe is written down somewhere. I will look." That was all I said before ending the call. My hand trembled as I placed the phone on the counter. That evening, I brewed mint tea and set the pot on the table. I opened an old photo album, one with the plastic pages beginning to curl at the edges. On the first page was Michael in the lion costume I sewed for him from a brown blanket. Next came his 6th birthday, frosting smeared across his cheeks. Then his 2015 graduation, cap tipped to the side, the tuition already paid in full by the endless double shifts I worked. The more I turned the pages, the clearer it became. They could erase me from the wedding, but they could not erase the evidence of my motherhood. Tears slipped down my cheeks, but they dried on their own. I looked at his baby face smiling back at me and spoke aloud into the empty kitchen. I am his mother. And no one will make me hide so that someone else will not feel awkward. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Pain no longer swelled like a wave ready to drown me. Instead, it hardened into calm determination. The next morning, I answered Hannah's message. My reply was brief, factual. I will not take part in a wedding where my absence is explained by your family being uncomfortable with my skin color. Within an hour, Michael called. His voice carried that anxious pleading he had used as a boy whenever he broke a window or lost a textbook. Mom, please understand. I just don't want conflict. It's only one day. It is the day of your marriage, I replied. And it is the day your mother is asked to disappear. That evening his future mother-in-law called. Her tone was syrupy, but her words were sharp. Rebecca, don't ruin the celebration. We respect you, but Southern traditions require caution. I listened, then answered in the same calm voice I used when charting medical notes. Tradition is not an excuse for erasing a mother. Even the church pastor, a man who once preached about equality, called to urge forgiveness. For the sake of peace, he said. But peace built on silence was not peace. It was a lie. The pressure mounted day after day. Michael sending text messages with phrases like, "Please don't make this harder," and Hannah suggesting I show grace. Their words all circled the same demand. Stay quiet, stay absent, stay erased. But my decision did not waver. My money was already off the table, and so was my silence. I thought perhaps they would relent, that guilt might move them, that blood would mean more than prejudice. But instead the pressure grew heavier each day like weights being added to my chest. Michael called again that Friday night. His words were frantic, his voice tight. Mom, can't you just let it go? Hannah's family doesn't mean anything to me. It's just one day. One day where I am erased is not small, I replied. If you can dismiss me on your wedding day, you can dismiss me always. There was a long silence. Then he whispered, You don't understand. I want this to go smoothly. I understand perfectly, I said. Smooth for them, silence for me. The calls did not stop there. On Sunday afternoon, Hannah's mother phoned again. Her accent wrapped around her words, thick and practiced, like she was rehearsing for a role. Rebecca dear, we want to honor you in our hearts. Truly. But you know how people are here. It's best for everyone if the ceremony stays simple. Simple. The word tasted bitter. Simple meant white without me. Tradition is not an excuse for cowardice, I said, my tone flat as stone. By Tuesday, even the church pastor weighed in. Forgive Rebecca. Do not hold this against them. God calls us to peace. Peace built on lies is not peace, I answered. The pressure was meant to bend me, but it only carved me sharper. That same week, light broke through from an unexpected place. A friend of Hannah's reached out. She had been part of the bridesmaids group chat, but her conscience refused to accept the deceit. She sent me a screenshot. The message was from Hannah herself, dated 3 weeks earlier. I worry that my parents won't accept Michael's black adoptive mom. Better if she doesn't come, so much calmer. There it was, in black and white, the reason for my exclusion. Not the size of the guest list. Not convenience. My skin color. I stared at the screenshot until my eyes blurred. Each word was a nail in the coffin of their excuses. They wanted me invisible not because of money, not because of space, but because I was black. I printed the message. I placed it in a folder with other records. Tuition receipts totaling $82,430. Bank transfers showing the $15,000 down payment I gave for their house. The $6,500 cashier's check for Michael's car. A ledger of sacrifice, and beside it, the proof of prejudice. The next day Michael called again. He had no idea I now held the evidence. His voice was weary, pleading. Mom, please don't post anything online. Don't talk to people. This doesn't have to be public. It already is public, I replied. Every guest at that wedding will notice your mother is absent. The lie is only in how you explain it. His tone shifted from pleading to sharp. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Truth is not hard, I said. It is simple. The truth is that Hannah does not want me there because I am black. Silence. Then a low, desperate whisper. Do not say that out loud. I already have, I answered and ended the call. That evening I sat at my kitchen table and spread the papers before me. Receipts, statements, the screenshot. 23 years of sacrifice beside one line of prejudice. 4 years I had been trained to document carefully, charting vitals, medications, times, and doses in hospital records. Now I charted my own history. Every figure was exact, every date recorded, every word preserved. I was not going to shout. I was not going to weep. I was going to show the truth, cold and factual. The following Sunday I made my choice. In the family group chat, where cousins and aunts traded recipes and updates, I wrote, I am not asking for an invitation, but I will not allow it to be hidden that I was excluded solely because I am black. This is not about the guest list, it is about fear and prejudice. Then I attached the screenshot. The effect was immediate. Within minutes, messages poured in. One cousin wrote, This is shameful. An aunt. Rebecca, I did not know. I will not attend if you are not welcome. 2 family friends withdrew, their words clear. We cannot celebrate what begins in dishonor. Hannah replied after an hour, her words smooth but trembling beneath. This is a misunderstanding. Things are being taken out of context. But the screenshot sat there, immovable, undeniable. Black letters on a white background. That night a family friend who worked in law sent me a private message. Rebecca, be aware. This kind of documented exclusion could harm Hannah's PR career. If employers or clients saw it, they would not take it lightly. I had not sought revenge, only truth. But truth has consequences. The days leading up to the wedding grew tense. Rumors spread. Guests whispered about the mother who was not invited. Some pulled away, unwilling to be complicit. Others pressed Hannah for explanations. On the wedding day, fewer than 100 guests arrived, though they had planned for 150. Under the polished photos posted on social media, comments appeared. Where is the groom's mother? Why is she not in any pictures? Isn't Rebecca his mom? The silence of their answers screamed louder than any words. A week before the wedding, I decided silence had lasted long enough. I did not ask for an invitation. I did not beg for a seat. What I demanded was the truth. That evening I opened the family group chat. Cousins, uncles, church friends, all were there. My message was short. I am not asking for an invitation, but I will not allow it to be hidden that I was excluded solely because I am black. This is not about the guest list, it is about fear and prejudice. Then I attached the screenshot from Hannah's bridesmaid chat. I worry that my parents won't accept Michael's black adoptive mom. Better if she doesn't come, so much calmer. For a long minute the chat was silent. Then replies began one by one. My cousin Grace. Rebecca, I am ashamed it has come to this. I will not attend. My sister-in-law Denise. This is racism, plain and simple. I cannot celebrate under these conditions. A church elder. Rebecca is Michael's mother. Excluding her dishonors the marriage. By midnight, 7 relatives had declined their invitations. Hannah tried to soften the blow. This was taken out of context. We only wanted a small wedding. People are misunderstanding. But the words on the screenshot stood there like a wall. No excuse could move them. The ripple spread further. A family friend, Angela, who worked in public relations, sent Hannah a warning. Your career depends on public trust. If this circulates, clients will walk away. You cannot build campaigns on diversity while excluding your own mother-in-law for her race. The message leaked. Whispers spread through town. People who had always nodded politely to Hannah at luncheons now looked at her with measured distance. On the wedding day itself, I did not dress for the occasion. I wore simple clothes, brewed jasmine tea, and sat on my porch. I had no intention of forcing my way into their ceremony. The truth had already entered for me. At the venue, the absences were visible. Rows of empty chairs. Plates unclaimed at the reception. Out of the expected 150 guests, fewer than 100 arrived. And then came the photos. Polished, edited, posted within hours. Michael in a navy suit, Hannah in lace. But beneath the glossy images, the comments turned sharp. Where is the groom's mother? I don't see Rebecca anywhere. Was she invited? Why celebrate love if you erase the woman who raised him? Every question was a wound Hannah could not bandage. Michael called me late that night, his voice raw, no longer rehearsed. Mom, why did you post that screenshot? I did not post it publicly, I replied. I told our family the truth. The truth spread on its own. You embarrassed us, he whispered. No, I said firmly. I recorded the facts. You embarrassed yourselves. The fallout grew in the weeks that followed. A client canceled one of Hannah's PR contracts, costing her $10,000 in bonuses. Relatives stopped answering her calls. Friends withdrew from her circle. Michael's tone changed with each call. At first he begged, "Please, Mom, help us repair this." Then he accused, "You ruined everything." Finally, silence. By autumn, silence turned into divorce papers. Michael filed them quietly, as if ending the marriage would erase the shame. I took no joy in it. When neighbors asked, I only said, "They made choices. I made mine." That October, I bought a small house in Portland, $180,000 for 2 bedrooms, a kitchen filled with light, and an apple tree leaning over the fence. I planted mint along the walkway, brewed tea every morning, and listened to the laughter of neighborhood children drifting in the air. No resentment remained, only peace. My money was off the table, and my dignity was mine again. The weeks after the wedding passed like the slow turn of leaves in autumn. People called to tell me what they had seen, what they had heard. Some wanted details, others wanted gossip. I gave them nothing. I learned long ago in nursing that silence can heal faster than words. A patient in pain does not always need speeches. Sometimes they need the quiet presence of someone who will not look away. That is what I gave myself. My own steady presence without apology. Michael stopped calling. At first, it stung like a fresh wound. But over time, the silence became lighter. I no longer braced for a ringtone that carried guilt, excuses, or pleas. My phone sat still on the counter, and with it came peace. By September, news spread that Michael had filed for divorce. Hannah's career stumbled as clients pulled away, unwilling to risk association with a public story of prejudice. A $10,000 bonus dissolved, then another contract slipped from her hands. I did not celebrate their losses. I only noted them the way I might chart a patient's vitals, facts recorded without judgment. I spent that autumn searching for a place of my own, somewhere smaller, quieter. At last I found it. A modest house in Portland, $180,000. 2 bedrooms, white paint already peeling, but sunlight poured through the kitchen windows in a way that warmed my bones. Out back stood an apple tree, branches heavy with fruit. I signed the deed without hesitation. The day I moved in, I unpacked slowly. One box carried only photo albums. Another held the receipts, bills, and records I had kept, proof of all I had given and all I had endured. I placed the albums on a low shelf where I could reach them easily. The receipts I sealed in a folder and tucked into a drawer. Evidence had done its work. I no longer needed to look at it every day. Morning routines became rituals of healing. I brewed jasmine tea and carried it to the porch. Children's laughter floated from the houses nearby, mingling with the rustle of leaves in the apple tree. I breathed deeply, letting the quiet fill me. Sometimes memories returned. Michael's first steps across the apartment floor, his hand clinging to mine on the way to kindergarten, his voice calling "Mom" from the soccer field. Those images no longer tore at me. They settled like stones at the bottom of a river. Weighty, unmoving, but no longer sharp. Neighbors began to greet me, some with curiosity, some with warmth. I kept my answers simple. I am Rebecca Williams. I work as a nurse. I moved here in October. Nothing more. My life was not a spectacle to explain. Evenings I read in the living room with the window open, the scent of apples drifting inside. Some nights I baked a pie, the same peach pie Hannah once asked me to provide without a seat at her table. This time I baked it for myself, slicing it warm, the sweetness filling the quiet house. I thought often of the refrain that had carried me through. My money is off the table. It had been a shield, a line no one could cross again. But in time I understood it meant more. Love is not money. Respect cannot be bought. And silence in the face of erasure is another form of loss. In the end, I chose boundaries over begging, truth over lies, and dignity over invitations. The wedding went on without me, but I stepped into a different kind of ceremony, the ceremony of reclaiming my own life. Now each morning begins the same. Tea steaming in my hands, apple branches swaying above, children laughing in the distance. My heart steady, my boundaries firm, my peace intact. I do not resent. I do not forget. I simply live. I opened up this story to you because some truths cannot stay hidden forever. If it stirred something inside you, let me know in the comments. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe so you will be with me for the next story. Together, we will keep uncovering what life hides.